Hello again. This is the second in a series, I think, of three videos that I will make to support this website, Americans United Against Fascist and Theocratic Government.org. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the history of surveillance of the Mormon Church. It goes back into the 60s when it first announced, and it was kind of carried on the grapevine of the Mormon Church. The church had invented a system whereby it could listen into conversations by people so that it would enable the church to save the Constitution of the United States. Saving the Constitution is an old song in the Mormon Church. It was alleged that Joseph Smith said the day would come when the Constitution would hang by a thread, never would be saved at all. It would be by the elders of the Mormon Church. So at the time, this was in the 60s, I was going to law school 3 nights a week. I was a second counselor in a bishopric, and I didn't really have time at that moment to dig into that little piece of grapevine news at all. Later, maybe 3-4 years later, I was sitting in a boat on the Columbia River with my bishop friend, buddy, anchored in on a hog line there, hoping to catch a big old spring Chinook salmon as it came up the Columbia River there in Portland. We had lots of time to talk. The wind was blowing and it was cold, and we needed to keep busy, so talking was the best way to do it. And I asked Earl what he knew about that thing. He told me that it was a blurb that came out and then it got squashed real fast because the guy that brought it back to Portland was one of the members of the security detail for Mormon leaders, the top 15 or whoever. When they came to Portland, he had a license to carry a gun, and he was called to a special conference in Salt Lake City. He got in there late. He missed the part of it that said, hey, this is a blood oath situation. Whatever you people hear now are not going to tell anybody else. Well, he didn't hear that. He got in late. So he came back, and he was just delighted to hear about this thing, and so he needed to tell everybody he could. By the evening of that Sunday, the word had gotten out, and it got squelched real fast. What had happened was the church had built a surveillance system utilizing the talents and abilities of the Summa Corporation, guided by Mormon Bill Gay. This system provided for a lapel pin to be worn on individuals who might be selected to go to some particular person or group meeting or whatever, so that whatever went on there could be recorded and captured for futurity when it could help the Mormon Church eliminate that person or that situation in order to save the Constitution of the United States. Now, I had an opportunity to be targeted, if you will, with that in May of 1975. I've stated maybe in other videos that are not present here today that I tried for 5 years to talk to the top 15 or one of the top 15 of the church about some of these problems concerning the church that were besetting me. I was denied that, and as a result, I went down to Salt Lake, kind of like a last ditch stand, if you will, to try to talk to one of these leaders. My best luck was to talk to D. Arthur Haycock, the male secretary to the president of the church. And during the time that we were having a conversation, I noticed on his lapel pin that he was, or noticed on his lapel that he was wearing one of these golden pins. And I looked at it and I said, gee, what is that? That's neat. And he said, oh, yes, isn't it? He said, it's a token of appreciation for the years of service I've given to the church. I says, okay. So I'm saying to myself, oh boy, this must be the thing coming on. I went home from that meeting and learned that 2 or 3 weeks later, my dad was approached by the church hierarchy there in Salem, Oregon, and he was asked to accept one of those things as a gift to be worn only when I was there visiting, so he could be proud and show his appreciation for his service in the church. He denied it, of course, because by this time we'd discussed it and it was out of the way. Later, it was used on me in the first weeks of 1976, and this was the time when I was about to embark on my sojourn of ordaining a black man to priesthood. My home teachers came into the room, and both wearing humongous, inch and a half big bees on their lapel pins, and began an interrogation of me instead of giving me the spiritual uplift message, so I knew where they were coming from. They wanted to know who my supporters were, what my plans were, etc., etc. And I told them, gee, you know, guys, I don't have any supporters and I don't really have any plans. I didn't know at the time that I would have a plan, and it developed very, very quickly. I believe I've already mentioned that either in a prior video or on the webpage for UnderTheMormonTree.com. Throughout these 3 videos, I'm urging people to get that book and read it so they'll get some better background of what I'm up to and what I'm doing. My concern right now, of course, is this mammoth construction project there in Lehi, Utah, where storage facilities are being built for intelligence that will be gathered illegally by the National Security Agency with huge ear-lifting microscopes, telescopes, TV dishes, and whatever contraptions it uses to invade the lives of people to learn what they're doing and what they're up to, all under the pretense of guarding the country against terrorism. Hitler used the same system after he burnt down the Reichstag, and this stuff has emphasized and increased since the days of 9/11 that many of my colleagues believe the U.S. government knew about and allowed it to happen, maybe even got themselves involved in it to some degree. It's quite possible. But in any event, the point here is that the Mormon Church has been engaged in surveillance of citizens of the United States and maybe of other nations since the 60s or early 70s. And the building of this additional humongous facility will supplement the intelligence that's already been gathered by the Mormon Church. And it needs to be stopped in its tracks. And that's why I'm putting together this organization. And if I can get enough people to pay attention to what I'm saying and maybe spare themselves a little of the occupation of their television set and participate with me, we can put an end to this silly, dumb nonsense that the Mormon Church thinks it's going to be the kingdom of God on earth. Thank you.